Minstrelsy. Minstrelsy is a form of variety entertainment, and it starts with European Americans imitating or impersonating or pretending to be African Americans in show performance. It depicts, unfortunately, black people as dim-witted, lazy, buffoonish, superstitious, happy-go-lucky, musical, at a certain point animalistic. It is a devastating form of variety entertainment for the African American. Of course, it forms in the 1800s, and it created and satisfied an interest in African American or viewing African Americans as a venue. It also successfully denigrated and dehumanized African Americans during a time period, the mid 1800s, where abolitionist sensibilities were becoming stronger and stronger, and it looked as if African Americans were going to be freed. It also allowed white Americans to play out sort of a psychological dynamics related to race. It's a very complicated form of entertainment because it holds a political, a social, an economic, a psychological component to the American psychology, and I mean for the European American and also for the African American. The minstrel show, the white minstrel show, begins around 1830 and continues into the 1960s. One of the first popular minstrel players is Thomas Dartmouth Rice, who in 1832 goes on stage as a performer who appropriates and parodies and denigrates African American vernacular speech, song, and dance as an entertainment, and it is a hit. He soon comes out with another character. The first character's name was Jim Crow. This character's name is Jim Crow. The second character, or another character, was Zip Coon, who was a free man who thought he was intelligent, but actually the joke always ended up by being on him. And he was a trickster, basically. So this was his other character. He had several different characters as he would blacken up. The comebacks were the first minstrel show to play vaudeville. These are all white individuals who are on stage. They would blacken up in cork or in grease paint, and initially would outline their mouth in white to exaggerate the size of their mouth. At a certain point in time, that white became red. There's another group called McIntyre and Heath. These are all European Americans, and I believe all male, even though they have looks like they have a female character. Early minstrelsy, the women were actually played by men. Pal Surrenders toured England, and it was one of the few times in which a African American played with the European American players, and that was William Henry Lane, or Master Juba, also known as Boz's Juba. Boz is a nickname for Charles Dickens. Initially, William Henry Lane had to disguise himself as a black person, so he had to pretend to be a white person pretending to be a black person as he danced on stage, because it was fairly illegal for a black person to be on stage. So initially that's how he started dancing in the minstrel troupe with the European American performers.